Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm taking you to one of the most legendary racetracks in the entire world, Daytona International Speedway, right here in Daytona Beach, Florida. Now, this isn't just any racetrack. This is a place where history was made, records were broken, legends were born, and the roar of engines has echoed for over 60 years. If you love motorsports, Americana, or just a good adventure, stick around. This video is packed with racing nostalgia, behind-the-scenes views, and plenty of surprises. So grab a coffee or a snack, get comfy, and let me show you around this incredible place. Whether you're a hardcore NASCAR fan or just someone curious about how a beach town in Florida became the heartbeat of American racing, you're in for a treat. Let's rewind time a bit. Imagine it's the early 1900s. Daytona Beach wasn't just a sunny getaway, it was the place where car enthusiasts tested speed like never before. The hard-packed sand of the beach was perfect for racing. Drivers would literally line up right next to the Atlantic Ocean and race each other down the beach and back up the road, sand flying, crowds cheering, engines roaring. It was wild, romantic, and totally chaotic. Think of it as the birthplace of speed in America.
Speedway, and actually for the first few years, some of the local boys, they put road tires on them cars, so take a chance, throw license plate on them and drive them right here to the Speedway. They actually got away with that. Change the tires out there in the parking lot, head down through turn 4 tunnel. Now folks, the Speedway is used a lot, from anywhere from 236 days to 270 days a year, something going on. Then we got the historic racing series here today. They've been here a total of 4 days from Sunday. Again, everybody, if you're especially coming back or even at the end of the tour. You go to guest services and look into that and drive your own car right out through there, right out through gate 40 and get out in the infield. Now folks, just an example of some of the things that goes on here at the Speedway. Throughout the year, like in January, it kicks off our season here. We get the Rolex series here for their 24-hour race. And then 2 weeks later into February, folks, it kicks off Speed Week here at Daytona Beach, and at the Speedway, of course. We get so busy here with all the vendors, motorcycle racing, dirt bike racing, and during that, folks, we get qualified and practicing the Craftsman Truck Series, the Infinity Series.
Fast forward to the 1950s, and the need for something bigger, faster, and more organized led to the creation of the Daytona International Speedway. Opened in 1959, it was the dream of Bill France Sr., a man who believed that motorsport could be bigger than boxing or baseball, and honestly, he wasn't wrong. One of the highlights for me, and you can see it in one of my videos, is the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America, located right here at the Speedway. This place is a time machine. There are race cars from every era, from vintage IndyCars to dragsters, motorcycles, off-road vehicles. It's not just about NASCAR, it's about celebrating speed in every form. The exhibits are beautifully done, and there are personal stories, helmets, fire suits, and even handwritten notes from legends. I walked in thinking, this will be cool, and I walked out inspired. The amount of history packed into one place is unreal.
Here we go, folks.
Oh wow.
Alrighty, folks, moving it on. Here we go to hill. We got one of the hills right here. See whether we're going to go for early. Come on. Hey everybody, welcome to the Daytona International Speedway! Over there up the driver's side of our infield road course, folks. That's actually 1.66 miles long right there. These guys out here today, we get the Rolex Series. The ARCA Series out there. World Karting Association, motorcycles, and Canadian. They'll run that 1.66 miles. Then they go out just short of turn one, folks. And they'll use the rest of the speedway. Look out the fastest side, everybody. You see turn one and turn two over there. That's at the beginning of turn one to the end of turn two. It's 3,200 watts. Also at the bottom of the race surface over there, folks, the double yellow line up to the wall is only 30 feet wide. Also, our high big turns are big, that 31 degrees. That keeps all. All our high big turns are identical, folks. 3,200 foot around or 40 foot wide, and they're big at 31 degrees. We'll take a little tour over by the back stretch. We'll make our first stop over there, folks. You know, get off and watch some of these cars going around.
Now let's talk about the track itself. And let me tell you, it's a beast. Daytona is a 2.5-mile tri-oval with towering 31-degree bank turns that's so steep you couldn't walk up them without sliding down. These banks allow drivers to maintain blistering speeds, over 200 miles per hour in some cases, without even having to lift their foot off the pedal. What's cool when you stand here is you can actually feel the slope under your feet. It's almost like standing on the side of a hill, except it's made of pavement and it smells like burnt rubber and gasoline. seats over 100,000 people, and the infield. Yes, the middle of the track is so big, it fits a lake, multiple RV parks, party zones, and even a go-kart track. Let's talk about what it's like to be inside the track. Yes, in the infield. It's its own little world. When races happen, thousands of fans park their RVs and camp inside the speedway. It becomes a mix of tailgate party, music festival, and motorsport celebration. People are grilling, playing cornhole, blasting classic rock, and making memories that last a lifetime. There's even a lake, Lake Lloyd, built right in the middle of the infield. You can fish or even watch powerboat races there during speed weeks. Only in Daytona, right? And honestly, it reminds me of old school community gatherings, everyone united by a love of racing, of being outdoors, and of tradition. What's really exciting is how Daytona keeps evolving. They've renovated the grandstands, improved accessibility, added digital displays, all while keeping that vintage racing charm. It's modern, but still feels like the heart of American racing.
And it's not just for race fans anymore. The Speedway now hosts concerts, car shows, charity runs, and even Rolex 24, a 24-hour endurance race with international teams and exotic cars. It's become a global motorsports hub right here in Florida.
You can't talk about Daytona without mentioning the Daytona 500, the crown jewel of NASCAR. It's held every February and it's the Super Bowl of stock car racing. What's wild is that NASCAR starts its season with its biggest race. It's kind of backwards compared to other sports, but it just adds to the drama. Every great driver dreams of winning here, and some of the most iconic moments in racing happened right on this track. Dramatic finishes, fiery crashes, heart-stopping restarts. There's triumph, tragedy, and everything in between. One of the most emotional moments was in 2001 when Dale Earnhardt Sr. died in a crash during the final lap. That day changed NASCAR forever, but his legacy is felt everywhere here. From memorials to merchandise, and even in the way fans still talk about him like a hero.
Boys, the Intimidator, like the Petty Boys. You're going to see a lot of good cars in the Hall of Fame. And it goes all the way back to 1903 in the Daytona Beach shores. Started in Ormond Beach, exactly. It was a 7-mile run, folks. You're going to see one of the first cars in there. Top speed was 65 miles an hour. It took him 3 miles of straight runway to get it going up the speed. Then they sanctioned NASCAR down by the North Turn restaurant on A1A. If you ever go down there, folks, you'll see the old turn, original turn down there. But that's where that started in 1948. Well, what I'm getting...
So, what did I take away from spending the day at Daytona International Speedway? It's not just a track, it's a place where generations have come together, fathers and sons, friends, fans, dreamers, all chasing speed, cheering for their heroes and feeling part of something bigger. Even if you're not a racing fan, you'll find something magical here. It's the sounds, the smells, the energy, the people. It's that old-school American passion mixed with a forward-thinking spirit. It honors the past but isn't afraid to race into the future. If you ever get the chance to visit, do it. Take the tour, walk the track, stand in victory lane, and let yourself be part of a story that's still being written. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this virtual trip through Daytona International Speedway, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves adventure and horsepower. See you in the next one, and until then, keep chasing the good stuff.